Here we go again. This video is brought to you by Beating Black and Blue. Beating Black and Blue, being a black cop in America on the seas. My brand new book. Link is in the description section. Like and subscribe to the channel. Also download this podcast, the B. Tatum Show, on all podcasting platforms. That link is also in the description section. Y'all know what to do. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, let's talk about this for a minute. I have a whole bunch of other stuff I want to make today, but this passed by my radar, and I cannot let it slide because I feel that people misunderstand police so much that it is mind-blowing to me. And it's funny because if you've never worn a uniform, it's almost impossible and very difficult for you to understand why police do what they do. It's easy to look at a TV and to look at it on camera and put your 2 cents in it or whatever the case may be. It's more difficult if you're actually at the scene and you've actually gone through police training and protocol for you to make certain decisions. Let me say this before I even start the video. The reason why I feel that some people get into negative interactions more with law enforcement is because this very video, the projection, the assumption, the prejudgment of law enforcement officers. When you do that and you project on them, you're gonna have a negative outcome. This situation was a person ran a stop sign, and the cop pulls them over on what we would consider is never really routine, but a routine traffic stop. And it's 11 minutes long at this point. Don't listen to B. Tatum. Just roll the film.
Hey, do not get out of the car.
So let me just start it off. She tried to pull him over a while ago. He refused to stop. One reason I'm assuming is because he's close to his house. He refused to stop. She had to get on a PA and tell him to pull over. He didn't pull over. He drove up in front of his house, gets out of the car, and Mom and them come out, and this is what we see.
Don't get out of the car. Yes, please do.
Yeah, we are.
It's an officer safety thing.
Driveway.
It's an officer safety thing, okay? So driver's license and insurance. Go ahead and close the door for me, please.
And this is already a problem in law enforcement, in my opinion, because this is a grown man operating a motor vehicle. He's solely and primarily responsible for the vehicle and the operation of the vehicle. Mama don't need to be involved. Why is this a red flag to a person in law enforcement? It's because if Mama is intervening, it could be a possibility that she's trying to shield or shield her son from what's about to happen to him. Just imagine if Mom is doing the interaction and this guy has a warrant for his arrest. What do you think Mama gonna do? Let him go? She let him go? The reason she's acting on his behalf is because she's trying to prevent him from getting himself in trouble or interacting with the police officer. Now just say that, hypothetically speaking, he has a warrant for his arrest and Mama's sitting there playing interference and he runs through the backyard and escapes. Mama is playing interference. This is a grown man. You can stand by. You don't have to try to be his lawyer on the side of the road. It's a stop sign. Okay.
It's my son's safety. You got enough safety gear.
Okay.
You the one with the guns and stuff.
Well, I have no idea if you have guns and stuff, too.
Oh,
So the reason I pulled you over, sir, is because you ran the stop sign back there, okay?
Sure.
all right. Side of the court. They like to kill people, but not my son.
See? Nobody even talking about nothing. It's a stop. She said, sir, the reason I pulled you over is because she has his driver's license insurance. There ain't no problem. Then she throws out, they like to kill people. That's why. Come on, man. Now just imagine if a police officer prejudged you. Y'all be crying in the street.
Ma'am, can you step up front, please?
No, this is my property.
You're actually on the sidewalk, so that's perfectly fine. So can you come on back?
Why did she ask her to step out the problem? Because she's already causing a problem. The cop just said, you pulled over for this. Here's your ID. This is why I pulled you over, sir. Mama talking about they trying to kill you and all this other crazy stuff.
No, he cannot. No, he cannot. Give him his ticket. Give him.
She wanted to take him back to the back of the police car to have a conversation with him, to write the ticket in a safe environment where there's no interference, nobody's going to attack anybody. He can speak for himself. But Mama said, no, he ain't doing nothing. He going to stand back over here. Okay. Now, what would a police officer think in this situation? Is that if I have to arrest this guy for whatever reason, if I run his name and he has a warrant, is Mama going to just let me arrest him? No, she don't even want him to step to the back of the car and talk to me while she's standing here. Is Mama going to let me arrest him? No, she's not. There's another guy outside. There's now 3 people and 1 officer. Are they going to cooperate? It doesn't appear that they will.
Give him the ticket.
You're on probation or parole or anything?
No,
like that,
he's
sir?
not.
I'm talking to him. Are you on
No,
probation
I'm
or parole or
answering
anything
for
like that?
him. No, he's not. Give him his ticket.
I can speak to him, ma'am.
No,
Are you on probation or
tell
parole?
her you refuse to talk to her. Give her your.
Now, why? What's the conflict here? Are you on parole? No. No. Instead of mama speaking for him and then mama telling him to tell her, I refuse to talk to you. You could have just said no. You're talking to her by saying, I refuse to talk to you. What's the big deal here? It's a stop sign violation. You get the ticket, you go home. Officers typically ask individuals, are you on probation? Are you wanted, anything? So they can know who they're dealing with before they walk away from you and go sit in their car and run your name and information. It's reasonable to at least ask, because the guy may say, yeah, I'm on parole. Okay. I'm going to need a backup unit because we need to figure out why he's on parole or whatever the case may be. And I can't turn my back and go sit in the car while this guy who's on parole for God knows what takes off running. So it's reasonable for a police officer to ask them, are you on parole or probation? Normal people will say, no, I'm not. Or yes, I am.
Give her your ticket.
I refuse to talk to you.
Okay, I need to know if you're on probation or
No,
parole.
you
That's
don't.
the only question.
You have the driver's
If
license.
he's on
Go do your
probation,
job
he
and
needs
run
to
it.
answer me if he's on probation
He's
or
not.
parole.
He's
I
not,
have the
so he
ability
don't have to answer you.
I have the ability to identify him.
You have his driver's
You
license.
have his identification.
And that's not the only that you have his driver's license and information. Think about this for a minute, people. Think about this for a minute. When you're detained, technically a traffic stop is a detention. You're not free to leave. You violated a traffic law. You can't just drive away. You're technically detained until the conclusion of a traffic stop. A reasonable detention. You can't be there all day, but you can detain them for a reasonable amount of time to finish your paperwork and give them the citation of running a stop sign. People don't understand how any of this works. So it's clear that the person says, oh, no, you don't have to know. He's detained. It is reasonable for her to be able to ask him a question about his status as a offender or not, or whether he's on probation or parole or not. Why, Mr. Tatum? Let me explain this to you. If anybody know anything about parole, your parole officer has to be notified when you have contact with police. So it is reasonable that a police officer would ask you, because you're going to have to notify your probation officer, and also the police officer will. If this guy's on probation or parole, she has to notify his probation officer that he had contact with police. It's not irrational or not judgmental to ask him if he's on probation while he's being detained. Okay.
Skylee, go get my phone. You have his ID. Go run it. You got your phone on you?
No.
Now, why would a police officer not just run to the car and run his information? It's because she don't know who he is. She don't know what's going on here. She either have to stand here in front of them and run it, which, what if he's a murderer? What if he's wanted for murder? Just hypothetically speaking, you never know. It ain't like that every person that's wanted for murder has murder on their forehead. What if he's wanted for murder and she put her head down and she's trying to run his name and is distracted, and he decides to pull out a gun or run, or more people come out the house? It's not reasonable. Now, if he was isolated by himself, it was one-on-one him and the officer, and parents didn't seem like they were going to interfere, it's reasonable that an officer can deal with him one-on-one without too much interference. But the way that they're talking and talking about somebody killing somebody and people coming outside and multiple people in the house, you want a phone out, it's not safe for an officer to be putting their head down and distracting themselves, trying to run his name and figure out what's going on. While she's berating this officer, the officer has a right to ask for backup. This officer is outnumbered, and people are definitely not complying to the things that she's saying.
I'm recording right here, and you're welcome to request it.
No, we're gonna record. Hurry up. You have his ID. Go run it. He don't have to answer any questions. Give him his ticket. This officer is right here harassing my son. She already has his driver's license, registration, and car insurance in her hand. She's asking if he's on parole or probation, and he has to answer her. He said, no, he's not on parole or probation. I said, go give him the ticket, and she will not. She's just standing there. What are you waiting for, ma'am?
I'm waiting for my partner, ma'am.
For what? For a traffic violation?
Traffic stops are one of the most dangerous things.
Okay, but you're making.
So all the police officer did, is now she's waiting for backup. This is not abnormal. This is not belligerent. You got people, you're trying to talk to this kid. Mama's interfering. Everybody's jumping in. You need to have a safe traffic stop. It's not that serious. Now, don't act like people don't just come out of the woodworks pulling guns and acting crazy. Police get murdered all the time because stuff seems to be normal and then it hit the fan. She's just waiting here for her backup unit. That's it. That's it. Is it irrational that one police officer can have, since there's 3 people, that there should be 3 police officers? After she run his name, if he's wanted for murder or if he wanted for a serious crime, what you think going to happen? They're going to just let him do it? No, they're not. It's reasonable that the officer will have a backup unit just in case after she run his name, something goes south where you're not by yourself and getting jumped and beat up. Reasonable.
This dangerous. You're escalating it. Go give my son his ticket.
There's no escalation in an officer saying, I'm not going to walk away from this right here. I'm not saying it to you. You ain't saying it to me. You the one keep talking. I'm going to bring another unit so we can deal with this situation. And if it hit the fan, I got my people with me. You got 3-4 people there. It's not escalating a situation when you're just standing there waiting for your backup unit. Why? Because he can't just take a ticket. His mama have to play interference.
And we will take care of this in court. You will not be the judge and executioner on this property right here.
I'm on the sidewalk.
You will not. Go give my son his ticket. You have his ID. You can easily run his ID and see if he's on probation or parole. Not this child.
You're correct.
Then go do your job. Why are you standing there? Why are you holding on to your gun?
She ain't holding on to her gun. This is not holding on to your gun. Many police officers, especially if you're right-handed, you rest your hand on your gun belt. The back of the gun, how you gonna hold your gun like this? How you gonna hold your gun like this? You holding on to your gun. She's resting the palm of her hand on the front of her holster. That ain't got nothing, probably ain't even touching the gun. Holding the gun is like this. Indexing your firearm with your hand on the grip. This is holding your gun. Not holding your hand, your palm of your hand on your gun belt. Now, why would you think that these people are rational? People say, why does she want backup? These people are not rational. You're not going to be the judge and executioner. Y'all want to kill people. Why are you holding your gun? This lady ain't holding no gun. If anything, if she have her hand like this and this guy actually had a gun, he could probably draw his faster than she can draw hers. But these people are belligerent. These people are not cooperating. And she haven't even been able to see who this man really is. Why would a man get out of his car and be a certain way? Why wouldn't he just cooperate? It makes a police officer feel like there's something else going on here. Why would he not stop? Why would he pull in front of his head? Why is mom and them coming outside? Why she won't let him talk? He's a grown man. He look grown. He's operating a motor vehicle with a legal driver's license and insurance. Why does she feel like she need to be in between him and the police officer?
Why?
My hand is not on my gun.
Your hand is on your gun.
It's
Your
on my
hand
belt.
is on your gun. Go run his
Do you
ID.
understand how violent you're being right now?
I'm being violent?
It's
You're
a
being
result.
verbally aggressive, yes.
No, I'm not being verbally
yes, she is.
aggressive.
Yes, she
you
is.
will not change this up. You will not create the narrative here that we've been seeing on the news. If he ran
See,
the
here
stop
she
sign,
go.
that's what you're saying. We will happily take the ticket. But I will not allow my son to stand here in front of you with your hand on your gun. That will not happen.
Well, he can't. He's not free to leave, so he's going to stand right there.
He's not leaving. He was
He's not leaving. He's standing right
you just
here.
told me that you weren't
My
gonna let
son
him
is
to
not
stand here.
leaving. No, he's standing on our property line. We own this house.
And that's
he's
exactly
standing
where I
on
want
our property line. You said he ran the stop sign, right?
That is correct.
Go give him the ticket.
I will in
and then
due
you
time.
can leave
I will in due time.
in due time. You guys, she done called for backup and everything. Y'all share this video because my son will not be the next head.
It ain't even that serious. And I'm gonna brief the rest of it because it continues like this for another 10 minutes. My son is not gonna be a statistic. Lady, he was pulled over for running a stop sign. The cop just was asking him for identification. That's it. If you wasn't there, you're escalating it. You the one tell your son to get out the car. You the one your son is the one that didn't stop right away. He pulls up to his own house. You tell him to get out of the car and stand behind you and do all this stuff. Your son is grown. If the officer was very respectful, she would have gave him his ticket, y'all would have been gone. But you want your son to get out the car. You want to tell your son what to say to the cop and what not to say. You are escalating. The cop ain't even saying nothing to you. The cop is holding her hand on her gun belt. That ain't a gun. Like it's the projection that's killing me. This is the reason why I made this video, because I saw some people online saying, the Daily Caller made this video, but I saw some people online saying, oh, the cop was wrong on this one. What are y'all talking about? You ain't never been in this situation. This could go south. You know, I keep repeating this because I think it's invaluable to understand. Why would any of y'all do this? Man, if my son was pulled over and for whatever reason he run a stop sign, he's in front of the house and I'm sitting there watching. She got a body-worn camera on. I'm going to let him do it. And if I see something wrong, I may interject. But I'm not going to tell my son, hey, get out the car and come stand behind me. And I'm going to now be the liaison. They can't give you the ticket. You weren't the driver. You're not driving. They have to. You're not detained. He is. It's not up to you to filter information between you and your son. All right.
Hashtag. Now,
so she's trying to go viral like they always do. And she just berating the cop. The cop isn't doing anything but standing there while she's berating her for all this time. She's just going on and on about my son ain't gonna be a statistic. Your son would have had a stop sign ticket that you probably could have won in court easily. Maybe not. I don't know. She have a body-worn camera and she probably have a dash cam, which probably shows him run the stop sign. But they just berate. She's talking trash. The supervisor comes to the scene. So she have a backup. Supervisor comes to the scene. Supervisor asks her what's going on. This lady goes and explains her perception of the whole scenario, which I think is illegitimate. But I'll put this video in the link in the description section so you guys can go back and watch it if you think that B. Tatum is wrong on this, or at least you want to have an interpretation. But this is the problem that I see, and this is why I want to make this video, is that stop doing this. You're not helping anybody or doing anything for anybody. Quit projecting, because the first sign that an officer projects your behavior, similar to probably a few other thugs that live in the community, you open arms. Oh, we ain't all the same. Y'all judging us because we black. Then stop judging police officers. This lady literally pulled him over, had to get on the PA because he wouldn't stop. Teach your son to stop. If you look at the statistical data, black people are not being mysteriously taken out by police. In the entire United States of America, annually, there's about 14 who are unarmed. And we all know, if you have any sense, that just because you're unarmed don't mean that you're not a deadly threat to somebody. But 14, there's 40 million African-American people in this country. 14 a year is 0.0000025 something. There's more chance you get struck by lightning. Why are you even acting like this? Common sense tells you if you're just cooperating, nobody cares. You cannot say the officer escalated. The officer did what every good officer should do. Say, okay, you won't let me talk to him. You're making an issue about being on the property. You're telling me he ain't got to tell me if he's on probation. You make me think he must be on probation, because all he got to do is say no. All you got to do is say no. Now you telling me that he can't talk to you, you shouldn't talk to him. That make you wonder, is this dude on probation? Is this why he jumped out the car? Is why mama trying to cover for him because she don't want him to go to jail today? Let me step back. I'm going to call for backup. I ain't going to argue with you. That's what else you want the cop to do? Okay, Miss Lady, you tell me where to go and what to do. Tell me how to do my job. Okay, I don't know the status of this guy. I don't know if he's a convicted felon or not. I don't know what his problem is. I don't know why he didn't stop. I don't know why he came to the house, got out the car, and got behind you, and you feel like you need to defend him and talk up for him. I have no idea, but I'm going to turn my back to you, and I'm going to go sit in my car and write him a ticket. And then if he is wanted for murder, I didn't remove myself from line of sight in the situation. And if he's wanted for murder, he go run off somewhere. And just because you got his ID don't mean nothing. Because if a person is wanted for murder, the cops know who that person is. But this is you contacting that person. And if he runs off and go hides and barricades himself in the house and all kind of other stuff, you have now created an even more dire situation than just standing here saying, I'm going to wait for backup. If you go to the car, he runs in the house because you find out that he's wanted for a triple, quadruple homicide or something like that, then you didn't create a cop, then they're going to blame the cop. You should have just stood there. You had him right there. The victims, if he was a perpetuator of a crime, the victims of the crime would be like, you just had the cop right there. I mean, you had the guy right there. You just walked to the car because somebody told you to and let him go, and now he's holding the neighbors hostage. And people like to say, oh, that don't happen. Man, I done policing for 6.5 years, and the stuff happens when you don't expect it. There are people that you do not expect to be violent, and they become extremely violent. People that you do not expect to be to blow up on you. I've had 3 or 4 people that I can remember. I mean, more than that, but the 3 or 4 vivid memories of a person who wasn't even a criminal. They were actually the victims, and they decided to fight me. Like, what are you doing? You're a victim. The dude pulled a knife on you. He's finna go to jail. Like, we're saving your life. Why are you attacking police officers? What are you doing? Out of nowhere. The dude just got out of prison. The last dude that attacked me and I had to body slam him. He just got out of prison. What are you doing, dude? You're not even a part of this call. Don't talk to my wife. Your wife is a victim. What are you talking about? I need to get the information from her so we can find the suspect who bashed her car in. Then he come out and get slammed and just got out of prison. People do crazy stuff. Anyway, like and subscribe to the channel. Visit the podcasting network. Link is in the description section. I'll put the link to this in the description section from the Daily Caller. I love you guys. Appreciate you. Talk to you. See you on the next one. I'm out.